tired of dishwashing? And if you're not yet, you will be. Holidays are coming up. Los Angeles Times notes the difference between a pessimist, an optimist, and a realist. We'll be talking a little bit about that. An optimist thinks the glass is half full. The pessimist, of course, thinks the glass is half empty. A realist knows that if he sticks around either way, he's eventually going to have to wash the glass. So we shall talk about that this morning. I need you all to be thinking in terms of being a Christian realist. A Christian who is a realist about life. Which means that you realize that you are both a sheep and a goat. And you know full well your goatness, as I know my goatness. We try not to share that too much, but you have butted people in the behind on numerous occasions on a sneak attack. You know that as well as I do. And you have also hit them head on with no warning. I know I'd love to go to visit the goat and the sheep petting zoos because just watching the goats is very interesting because, of course, they will butt you given the opportunity. As soon as you take your eye off of them, they will be happy. And of course, if you have little kids with you, what's the first thing they do? They want your name tag. And so they'll be right up there. You try to pull them off, and you hardly can do it because they'll get you. The sheep and the goat parable that Jesus taught today is about a recognition by him that we are both sheep and goat. And there's a little story, and I'm not sure where it came from. I've seen it in a couple of different places. It's about wolves, not about sheep and goats. A young girl was having repeated nightmares about two wolves fighting, tearing each other apart, night after night after night, having that nightmare. And so finally, she got over to be able to visit her grandfather, who was a man of some wisdom and stature in his community. And he said to her, listen, the two wolves are inside everybody. And that only made her more upset, because she didn't fashion, as anybody does, to realizing that we're part wolf, internally. And so she asked, well, which one wins? And he said, the one you feed. The one you feed is what you will be, which was what you will be and become. The one you feed. You will either be sheep or goat, depending on which one you feed. And I was talking to a friend of mine who lives down on the Maryland-West Virginia border, and my family up in the coal regions, and for years, they have always kept an empty chair on all the holidays. Even if the chairs have been filled up, they've always managed to find an empty chair. And I asked them why. They said, well, because there's always room for one more. That's the first thing. And a lot of times that happens. There's always room for one more. And I guess that lets us know that around this time of year, that's a good thing to have available, to be thinking about. There's always room for one more. The other thing is that it lets us know, and it's a reminder that there's always people who are not here, that we would want to be here. And so the empty chair functions in a couple of ways. Very much like the tradition of the empty chair is also a fixture at the Passover Seder. The empty chair with the door left slightly ajar is an invitation, symbolically, for Elijah to come and visit, the great prophet from the Old Testament. Well, it's difficult, though, with the empty chairs, because they really are empty nowadays. Families are so scattered all over the country. We have people, I'm sure, as you do, all over the country, all over the place, who have moved geographically further and further away. And you don't know who you're actually going to get together with on any given holiday. In today's work world, who knows? What's the earliest day what's the earliest time for starting to shop on Thanksgiving Day now?
Yesterday.
6 p.m.? I thought I could swear that there was a 6 a.m. somewhere in here. On Thursday. Kmart, maybe? 5 a.m. 5 or 6 a.m. Okay. All right, so you can't even tell in terms of your young families that are working in the service industry as to their availability on any of these holidays. But no matter how it's celebrated, the tradition of an empty, expectant chair, I think, commends itself for us to be thinking out the people who are not in our midst, and also just recognizing that we're people of invitation who will welcome strangers into our midst. The beast, the wolf, which one will you feed? Will it be the person who welcomes people into their house and into their midst? Or are you going to be a person who's going to feed the wolf and going to push him away, keep him out? Go either way, according to Jesus. Now, part of what makes Christ the King Sunday a valuable one is the recognition that in all of your life, regardless of how you understand faith and belief, that one of the things the Bible describes is that Christ, who is King, comes out of his heavenly host and out of his heavenly stance and walks around the earth just to see how we're doing and to see what we're going to do with the situations that he puts in front of us. What are you going to do? Which beast are you going to feed in yourself? I have a friend of mine who has 8 children, and he was reflecting on how each one was raised differently, but similarly in terms of what beast was going to be fed, okay? The upbuilding, hopeful beast was being fed. But he noticed the difference in how they went about it sometimes. When the firstborn coughed or sneezed, I called the doctor. When the last one swallowed a dime, I just told him it was coming out of his allowance. But they love them both equally. And Tom Robbins, who's a wonderful storyteller and novelist out of our country, has a wonderful exchange on the nature of love, feeding that beast, in a novel called Still Life with Woodpecker. The female protagonist, Lee Cherie. The most important thing is love, said Lee Cherie. I know that now. There's no point in saving the world if it means losing the moon. Lee Cherie sent that message to Bernard through his attorney. The message continued, I'm not quite 20, but thanks to you I've learned something that many women these days never learn. Prince Charming is really a toad. And the beautiful princess, she has halitosis. The bottom line is that loving makes love. Loving makes itself. We waste time looking for the perfect lover instead of creating the perfect love. Wouldn't that be the way to make love stay? She asks. The next day, Bernard's attorney delivered this reply to her. Love is the ultimate outlaw. It just won't adhere to any rules. The most any of us can do is to sign on as an accomplice. Instead of vowing to honor and obey, maybe we should swear to aid and abet. That would mean that security is out of the question. The word make and stay become inappropriate. My love for you has no strings attached. I love you for free. And that is the beast, Jesus says, you want to feed. Love is for free. That's the beast you feed. That is how you function as a sheep in the world. And by the way, a sheep in the Bible image is not just because of passivity, okay? And soft, fuzzy. You're pettable. That's a nice thing. But that's not the main point. They are communal. And they are lost souls when they're out alone. We have been created as communal people. So you feed that sheep. You feed that wolf in you. That's why the Bible will talk about the wolf and the lambs being able to sit down together, and the lions. Yeah, because internally you can do that. In your spirit and in your heart, you can live that way. But as Jesus taught it, and as he understood it, what makes the world go round for you and for me is Jesus as Christ, the King. The King primarily because he makes a commitment to you and to me that love is going to make the world go round. And love will make the world go round in your life. Key for you and for me. Feed that beast.